When it's all on the line, these guys are going to lay it on the line.
Hello, world, and welcome back to Gridiron Campbell, the only podcast that puts its money where its mouth is. I'm your host, Rich Ron, and I'm joined by two members of the collective. I almost screwed it up again. Donnie DP Peters and the resident moose himself, Mo Nawara. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Listeners, rate and review on your podcatcher of choice. 5 stars only. I'm counting it. Like Will Shipley, who, no, he was not a 5-star athlete playing professional football, playing throw ball. Was a 5-star athlete in lacrosse, but he was a 6.04 star in football. We were looking at his photo on Rivals from North Carolina, and just by the looks of it, if you were doing some profiling, you would probably put 2 stars next to Will Shipley. Mo, you got a smile on over there, but before record, you were scowling a little bit. You were a little upset because we are keeping you from a poker game over the river. We are costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity.
Short-handed, high-stakes PLO, my favorite game to play. I'm missing 5, 10, 25 short-handed, 3 or 4-handed PLO right now. So I don't know if it's hundreds of thousands, but I think I can beat that game for more than $100 an hour. So probably something between $300 and $500. You guys are worth at least that to me. So now you know.
That warms my heart. No Brett. Brett's got some family stuff going on, so thoughts out to him. But let's roll on to the Super Bowl. We're the last people on Earth. I guess there's people that are going to have like Saturday shows and stuff. We're the last humans on Earth that are breaking down Super Bowl 59 down in New Orleans. We're so late that most of the people that went for Media Week are just gone already, probably. The people that don't stick around for the game, like they are already on flights back to their homes instead of sticking around and going to the actual contest on Sunday. And I think for good reason, I'm talking about why we're so late, is that, I don't know, I don't think any of us have a super duper duper strong opinion on this game. I think that most of the content out there has kind of been beaten to death. And honestly, the Super Bowl's kind of gotten to be one of the most boring caps. I know I'm making content, I shouldn't be saying this, but like one of the most boring caps of the year because all these lines are razor sharp, especially by the time we get to them. Mo and I did a show on the Badlands Network, my guys with the JETS Jets, where we gave it some takes last week, which Mo killed it. A lot of the markets moved in his favor. I had one that moved in my favor, but these things they've really settled. So there's not a ton of value to be had, but it is a Super Bowl. So obviously folks will be wagering on it, having some fun. And hopefully we can provide you with some winners. But let's check in with Mo first on the game, on your Chiefs. I think all of us have a pretty standard philosophy of entering into props. We want to forecast what the range of outcomes is in the contest and then go from there. You don't want to have props that don't correlate with how you think the game is going to run out. So we'll start with you, Mo, as my kiddo laughs in the background. Mo, what's your take on this game? Are your Chiefs going to do it? And how's it going to influence you on these props?
I think so. I think the Chiefs match up pretty well with the Eagles, just style of play wise. They like to blitz a lot. The opposing quarterback is weak against the blitz. They are a high success rate offense that doesn't require a lot of big plays, which is kind of how we saw the Rams have some success against the Eagles, I think. I know that they do produce more big plays down the field with their passing game, but they moved the ball pretty consistently, probably outplayed the Eagles in that game. But everyone is erasing that from their memory because the Eagles scored 55 on the JV Washington team over there. That, I mean, I love Jaden Daniels. He had a good game. It wasn't his fault. But shocker, a young team wasn't ready for a big spot like that and pissed down their own legs, which I'm not really going to blame them for it. Like I said, it's pretty standard stuff when the Chiefs, which is the modern dynasty, frittered away an entire half against the Patriots in 2018. So, this is a pretty normal course of action for these teams in these huge spots for the first time. So, not trying to slander Washington at all. I think it's just completely understandable what happened, but it also makes me. I feel like people are giving the Eagles too much credit for that game. This has not been that strong of a playoff run for the Eagles. I mean, first of all, that game could have been a lot closer if a few plays had flipped the other way, which they probably should have. Talking about that fumble, Saquon hold, Devontae Smith maybe being out of bounds. Not at all saying Philly didn't deserve to win. They definitely did. But that game was probably not really a 30-point game in reality, and we know that the Eagles obviously didn't look very good in the 2 rounds before that. So I think they've been a bit overrated, and the Chiefs will probably win the game. But I expect a lot of long drives and could come down to some mistakes, kind of similar to the Bills-Chiefs game.
Yeah, you talk about the lack of explosiveness in Casey's offense. We've had members of, I want to bring this up, the Discord, by the way, members of the Discord, our guy, Matt Clark, shitting on Mahomes' air yards all year. First, I want to give love to both the Discord and to Mo. If you want to join the Discord, you could just type in bit.ly/Discord Moose or check the description of this show on whatever platform you can get in there. The other day, I was changing Kiddo and popped my back, like literally audible, echoing off of the walls. Pop. And it was my Jordan flu moment. I was on my knees in excruciating pain and was able to finish the diaper change. It was legendary stuff. But then I hopped into Discord, went into the off-topic channel, and I was like, guys, I'm dead. Somebody help. And Mo, who has done this before and had PT before, hops on FaceTime with your boy, shows me a couple stretches, and I'm walking. No less than 15 minutes later. No more than 15 minutes later. So hop in the Discord, and thanks to Mo for getting me across the line. Back to the point of the lack of explosiveness for the Chiefs not being a problem, though. This is a Vic Fangio offense that plays cover 6, quarters, rally, and tackle. The spots of this defense that can be attacked are the ones that the Chiefs are not only good at, but they've been doing so for the entire season. And now you've got something Burks in for Nakobe Dean, a guy who they targeted last year in the Super Bowl with tons of success when there was an injury to the Niners. And all of the strengths for this Eagles team are on the boundary and on the defensive line. We've seen what Mahomes does against pressure. We've seen what Mahomes does over the middle of the field. The Chiefs are going to figure this out. And then you've got Jalen Hurts against Steve Spagnuolo, right? You've got questionable depth at center for the Eagles against Chris Jones. So I think people are really, they're doing the best roster argument for this. And I think they really are devaluing the advantages that the Chiefs have at 2 of the most important spots, quarterback and head coach, but then also the level of just preparedness and execution that Spagnuolo is going to have entering this game against Jalen Hurts, a player who, I mean, we've seen it going back to when he just started playing in this league. When there's an ounce of resistance, when there's any type of negative script, it's just not the environment with which he thrives in. Do I think the Chiefs are going to blow doors? No, that's just not their identity. Again, if they're not going to have any explosiveness, it doesn't really play into some kind of Chiefs route. But I think this is for sure Chiefs in a low-scoring game. I do like the under. I touted alternate under on the Badlands. I think 40.5 is the lowest I'd go. I think you can get that at plus 240 still. That's moved 10 cents since I touted it on that show because the total is sneaking down to 47.5. People are looking at the dome and these two teams and these two offenses, and they're thinking points. But I just think the style of play, the Eagles being dead last and pass rate over expectation, like I think this is going to be a slow, grinded out game that I don't think people are going to love that much, to be honest. So I'm a Chiefs lean as well. And Donnie, echoing it all, you're with us. You're leaning AC.
Yeah, I mean, I think my big thing is about Jalen Hurts, and I'm the most pro Jalen Hurts guy on this podcast. I like his makeup. Now, that said, you look at him on the field, and it's not always that great. And how am I supposed to believe, because he had one decent game last week against a defense that I think many people have felt was a bit of a house of cards and could fall apart almost at any time. Not that they entirely fell apart, but could get got a little bit, versus what Jalen Hurts has done for the large majority of the season. And then when you add in the fact that he's going against a tough defense, a well-coached tough defense that can get after him, I'm not going to go against what I've seen as the whole versus what I've seen in one game. Did Jalen Hurts play good last time out against the Slurs? Yeah, he did. But, I mean, is he going to play good against the Chiefs? I mean, how am I supposed to trust that? That defense, Spags, coming after you. If the Chiefs are up, he's trailing. It just doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. So that's why I'm ultimately leaning towards the Chiefs. Now, yes, the Chiefs obviously have Mahomes. They have Reed. I get that. I think that it's Mahomes and Reed versus the Eagles as a team. That's kind of like even, but then I give the nod to the Chiefs because of the Chiefs' defense I think is really, really good. And they're going to get after Jalen Hurts.
Well, Donnie brings up an interesting point that I've thought about, which is it worth betting the Chiefs before the game? Because I feel like if the Chiefs are up and the price gets worse, it's okay because I don't think the Eagles can come back against the Chiefs. But if it's the other way around and the Chiefs are down, I think the Chiefs are still alive to come back against the Eagles. So I actually do wonder if you're better off if you like the Chiefs, just waiting to bet live might be better no matter what happens.
Yeah, I'm fine with that angle because, yeah, like you said, we've seen it before with the Texans obviously being the most extreme example a few years ago. And Donnie double, triple, quadruple dipping with every single Houston score. It didn't matter. The Chiefs were able to mount an insane comeback. And then, yeah, on the other side, it's almost a tale as old as time. Jalen Hurts in a negative script, especially against the Spagnuolo defense, which is prepared for 2 weeks for this spot. That could just be a nightmare scenario for an Eagles team that is just not prepared to play pure drop back football against a very good defense. So I think that's a very fine angle to take. The other angle that I think we all agree on, based on conversations Mo and I have had, based on the props that Donnie has sent, and based on everything I've seen over the past 2 weeks, is we like the tight ends in this game because as I call out the linebackers for the Eagles, especially Burks, we don't have a lot of coverage strengths on the Chiefs either. Tranquil, Bolton, Chanel, we saw it in the conference championship with Mac Hollins and Khalil Shakir getting targeted over the middle of the field with a lot of success. So the first one, everybody loves Dallas Goedert this week. And
I haven't seen one tout who isn't on Dallas Goedert over this week.
Yeah, the action has certainly gone in his direction. So I'll give you, I think, the spiciest way to attack this, and this is what I touted on Badlands, was on DK, they have in the game leaders market, they have most rushing and receiving. And obviously, in that market, Saquon has a ton of gravity because he goes both ways and is able. I mean, he's the type of player that could have 200 total yards, and it's not a shock whatsoever. He could damn near have 200 rushing yards, let alone before you factor in the receiving yards. But in these markets, when there's a ton of gravity at the top, that creates a bunch of value at the bottom. We saw it in the Rookie of the Year market with Caleb Williams. You could have gotten Jaden Daniels at as good as plus 700. We saw it in the rookie receiving market with MHJ. I got Brian Thomas Jr. at 16-1 because of that. And because there's so much gravity in this market for Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert is plus 2,000 to lead the game in rushing and receiving. Obviously, if you want to go the risk-averse route, just receiving, I'm still okay with the plus 850. But I'm going to go for the big swing. I'm going to go for the home run and hope that he has the most rushing and receiving yards in this game. But if you want to go the plain Jane route, DP has the over on 49.5 receiving yards as well.
Yeah, I mean, Goedert.
Where'd you get that number?
I think that was on FanDuel.
I thought everyone was up to like 51, 52.
No, I mean, it might be up, yeah. And I was already thinking a couple of days ago that I was probably getting a bad number just because I hadn't looked in a while, so I mean, whatever. But, I mean, part of this for me is that Kelsey's numbers are so out of this world that I'm like, I can't even touch Travis Kelce. I mean, it's just, what are we doing here? I mean, so, I mean, Goddard's a good quality tight end. Jalen Hurts gets him the ball, whether it's plays that are meant to go to him or if he's kind of like that bailout option if nothing else is open on the play. Like, he's a very trustworthy receiving option for Hurts. I think they're going to look at him a lot. If I think that the Chiefs on defense are going to look to, at first, stop Saquon, well, the ball's got to be coming out of Jalen Hurts' hands. Where's that ball going to go? I'm looking at Dallas Goedert. And then 49.5, I mean, I don't think you necessarily need a ton of catches from him because we've seen at times when Goedert has been able to break one fairly long, whether that's 20, 25, 30 yards, whatever it is, get a good chunk of that yardage there. And then also going back to the game script, if we do think that the Chiefs are going to be controlling this game, playing from the front, and the Eagles are then playing from behind, well, I think they're going to have to push the envelope a little bit more, which means a little bit more throwing.
Speaking of Travis Kelce, I know these numbers have deflated a little bit, but speaking of the tight ends and Goedert, one of the ways you were attacking this tight end market, Mo, was some matchups that you were looking at the last time we spoke.
Yeah, I recommended a play on Goedert and Devontae Smith. DK has head-to-head matchups with both against Travis Kelce. Unfortunately, someone slammed them, and I think they came down each like 15 cents. So it's like a fair amount. I don't know if they're worth playing anymore. I think they're at least worth looking at. If you are bullish Goedert and even like an ounce bearish Kelce, same thing for Devontae Smith. These were around, I want to say they were plus 155 and plus 145. And I think they're down closer to like plus 130 now. So not as much value as there was, but still might be worth playing if you're into that. It's a different way to go for that one. Like you were saying about the receiving / rushing leader. So yeah, I mean, I think those are at least worth looking at. I feel a little bit sick when I bet into the worst of the number like that, but it might still be okay. I mean, it's still plus a fair amount, and I'm not like super confident Travis Kelce is going to have a big game either. So I just think this is an eye test thing for me where like last year, yes, he looked rejuvenated, much better against Buffalo. He's toasting people one-on-one. He's catching touchdowns. That's not what's been happening in this postseason. He had a couple big plays against Houston, and he looked as slow as he did the rest of the year in those plays. They just very poor tackling by Houston. So I don't think Travis Kelce is rejuvenated at all, and I think he's probably ticketed for a bit roll here relative to what the market seems to think.
Just a couple of numbers here on Goedert, tied for the team league in targets here in the playoffs, and his yards per target is 9.6. So in the same vein as Mo's live opportunities, perhaps on the Chiefs in the game, I don't know if these markets how aggressive they'll be with live props. I know that there's some available. They're available in some spots, and the way that Goedert can get his yards, especially against the seam here. Beyond even the linebackers, the safety position for Kansas City isn't that great in coverage. Just they could come in chunks. So even after like a quiet first quarter, you might even be able to jump into the Goedert market in a live proposition in the same vein that you're looking at with Kansas City on the game there.
The Chiefs also allowed the most yards and the second most catches to tight ends this year, if people want to put some numbers behind that. So that's pretty strong trend there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to Donnie's point about being hot too, we know Spags is going to blitz. the closer you are to the ball at the snap, the more likely you are to be hot. We know that the Eagles run more single back. That you rarely see both Barkley and Gainwell on the field. So if there's going to be somebody hot, it's likely to be the tight end. And Grant Calcaterra is very much a blocking tight end, so that just gives you even more ammunition for Goedert to be the hot in some of these blitz situations. All right, DP's got our favorite, and we're getting screwed, Donnie. It took 7 years for them to finally fix it, but these Mahomes rushing numbers...
Fix it.
The hashtag fixed it. These Mahomes rushing numbers are not as juicy as they once were. That being said, it's still the Super Bowl, and it's still Mahomes running. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, when I listen to the Simmons pod and I hear them talking about it, I know it's we're done. But I'm still going to be a sucker and buy in because I can't not. Like, it's just, at this point, you got to stick with the bit, right? I mean, you got to keep going. So, yeah, I'm going to play the regular one over 28.5, and then I'm just going to try and ladder it. I mean, why not? 40 plus is plus 195, 50 plus is plus 370. I also like over 5.5 rushing attempts because then you can bake in those kneel downs. And then longest rush over 13.5. I like that as well. I mean, I know that might sound like a lot, 13.5, but Mahomes always has one of those plays in him rushing where it's kind of like a broken down play. It's a scramble play. His receivers are a bit down the field, and the next thing you know, he's off for like 23 yards. And he might do the whole like fake out of bounds, come back in, and get another 6 yards to it. So like, yeah, I think all of this is just good and fun, and I like rooting for overs because it's just more fun, especially in the Super Bowl when like everything's just whatever. Like you said off the top, Rich, all the value's beaten out of these lines. So I mean, in a way, like kind of let's just have some fun with it. And one way to have some fun with it is to try and ladder this and see if he just goes off.
I like the Mahomes attempts. There's been a ton of, it looks like, action on the under. When Mo and I were first looking at this, it was actually on DK, at least it was 6.5 with, I think it was like plus 160 to the over. And I think they just got so much action to the under that they actually lined it to 5.5 with now negative juice to the over. I think I saw minus 140 to the over, I think, when I was looking. But I still do like attempts more than yards for that reason, DP, of the kneel down equity at the end. I'm going to say this is the Rich Ryan special of where else are you getting 22% return on your money? Mahomes 4 or more rushes is minus 440. Like, in what world is Mahomes not running 4 times in this game? So I think that's the special. And then just keep going, DP, because you think, and I agree with you, that both quarterbacks will be running. You like some of these Hurts over as well.
Yeah, I mean, and Hurts is... he's a guy who can certainly have more designed runs for him. I know that going into the last game, there was some concern about his injury status. He looked pretty all right to me overall. So again, with him, he's a guy where, like, when Mahomes starts running, if he even starts, he's always still looking to pass, or even if he does break past the line of scrimmage, he's looking to get down, get out of bounds.
Or looking to fake pass.
Yeah. No, he's pump faking like 10 yards downfield and it's working.
No, but where Hurts is like, Hurts decides to go, the ball is tucked, and that guy's going, right? So it's like the chances for Hurts ripping off a huge one is much higher, just because like when he tucks, he's now, I'm a running back, let's go, right? So that's where I'm looking at with Hurts. Now his numbers in terms of, like, first of all, his numbers 36.5. I'm going over there. And then his ladders, 50 plus is plus 185, 60 plus 320. But then it's also interesting that his longest rush is lower than Mahomes, 11.5 there, which I thought was a little bit surprising to me because I do think Hurts has that capability to break off, a 20, 25 yard run pretty easily. I mean, the guy can move. Like, he's not a slow quarterback by any means. He can certainly get after it. So, I'm attacking both QBs. And again, it just goes back to what we originally said about attacking the QBs and rushing from the jump, 7 years ago, whatever the hell it was. When it's all on the line, these guys are going to lay it on the line.
Felix. Was that Felix or was that Duke and Daisy?
Felix not even with me, so definitely Duke and Daisy.
The only thing I'm worried about with these longest is these are 2 very good tackling teams, especially in the secondary. And I think Jalen has shown some buyer's remorse, if that makes sense, when it comes to running. I've seen him slide a lot earlier.
He's still turtling.
Than
even
necessary.
in that Washington game.
I mean, this is the Super Bowl. You would think that he would be a little more cavalier when #it matters more than it ever will all season, but he's definitely been quicker to ground than previously noted. That could be injury related though, and he's had 2 weeks, so maybe that's going to be less so of a factor in this contest, but something to be aware of.
I think
quick
it could
on the
be
tackling.
I think it could be a coaching staff edict as well.
Yeah, don't
just
die.
like they told him, this is what you have to do, and he's listening. Because I've never seen him run like this.
Yeah, I mean, he squats 1,000 pounds. You know, you would think that he'd be out here trying to truck people with that lower leg strength. All right, speaking of tackling, speaking of exciting whites off the top, I like Reed Blankenship. This is on DK to lead the game in assists and tackles at plus 1,000. He already did this in the Eagles' first playoff game. In this playoffs, he was second in tackles in the game against the Rams, I believe. And if I believe that, like the Eagles, Kansas City is going to be attacking the middle of the field and going after Oren Burks, I think there's just going to be a ton of opportunities for Reed Blankenship to come in and play cleanup and get some tackles. So I think at 10-1, this is a much better number than either of the linebackers in Bolton and Burks, who are sub $5. So I think this is an interesting click to get Blankenship at plus 1,000. Another one where they've caught up, Mo and I agree on this one, is longest field goal in this game. Mo and I both like the under 47.5, but unfortunately, you got to pay some juice. Minus 115, Mo. Not so fast,
I did
friend?
find a 110 on Caesars. So I think I'm going to go across the river and bet it once we're done here, actually.
Let's go. Yeah, talk about it. Especially your guy, Butker.
Yeah, just, a lot of the stuff we've talked about before, and unfortunately it didn't come in last week when the Bills tried a long one pretty much right away. I wonder if they regret that. Harrison Butker has tried 2 field goals of longer than 40 yards since he came back from injury. He missed the only 50-yarder he tried. So I don't know if he's even capable of making a long kick right now. This is eye test as well. Again, the mechanics, he's still sinking to a knee on his follow-through. I don't think he's right. Assuming the Chiefs are well aware of this and will not try a long field goal. Although it's interesting because I believe he's favored in the longer field goal market, like minus 130 or something. But Jake Elliott's been a disaster this year.
I think it's because Jake Elliott's been absolutely horrific. Yeah.
1 of 7, and I think that's just his regular season from 50+. He missed another 50-yarder against Washington, obviously. Both of these teams can be aggressive on 4th down at times. I mean, obviously we know what the Eagles usually do, and then we saw Andy Reid go for 4th and 1 on his own 35, so I think he knows when to turn up the aggression knob, and I don't anticipate a lot of long kicks in this game. And even if they happen, I think it's maybe 50-50 whether they even go in.
Yeah, that's entirely the cap for me. Both teams in the top third in terms of 4th down fourth down go correctness, according to RB's DM. They're going to be going for it. It's going to be high leverage. Are they going to trust these kickers that haven't made long kicks, even though it is indoors? So yeah, I'm very much on the under in this game. And I anticipate myself screaming when one of these idiots makes a 49-yarder.
Can I piggyback off this one real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I found another one. We didn't talk about this the other day, but I found it for my show with Matt Brown the other day. Another fun one. I think this was along the lines of what Donnie's saying. If people want a fun sweat, I think this is a fun sweat. Over 2.5 4th down conversions is plus 120 on DK. It was minus everywhere else.
Hell yeah.
Like FanDuel's at like minus 106 on over 2.5. DK's got plus 120. Based on regular season numbers, we should be looking at about 1.5. But we know that the aggression is going to be way higher in the Super Bowl when it's do or die. And the Eagles will get at least 1 or 2 freebies probably with the push play. And then all you need is somebody to be down and they're going to be going for fourth downs in the fourth quarter. So I like over 2.5 here at plus 120, a fair amount. Another thing is
again,
like every fourth down these teams face is like pretty likely to be short because of what we were talking about. The way these teams stay ahead of the sticks, these teams are not going to be in 4th and 10 very often. It's going to be 4th and 5 or less.
If this is, I wish this is the number I had, and I'm positive the Eagles are top of the league in this. If you look at running plays on third down, because these teams know they're playing 4-down football, both of these teams are likely to be amongst the league leaders in third down rushing plays because they're smart and they know they're playing 4-down football, which creates these 4th and short opportunities.
The Chiefs won't run, but they'll throw 1 yard short of the stick.
They'll throw a 2-yard crossover to Hollywood.
Because they know that guy's going to be open. Because the defense is trying to guard all the people that are past the sticks.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, DP has one that I absolutely love. He's going into every drooler who's going into this weekend. It's Saquon's birthday, Saquon MVP, Saquon this, Saquon that. Somehow this guy finished 3rd in MVP voting. DP's going face first into the storm and betting no touchdown for Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, let's go. Plus 165. I also looked at no touchdown for Jalen Hurts. Now, I found that I think even money is what I found. But my issue there is I want the overs on all of Jalen Hurts' rushing. So if that ultimately does result in a touchdown on one of those plays, I don't want to be really annoyed with myself there. So I'll just back off that one. I'll dive into the Barkley one. I wanted to find some sort of way to fade Saquon Barkley. The guy is a supreme talent. Yes, he's freaking awesome. He's their entire offense, yada, 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 whatever. I think that the Chiefs are going to probably scheme against him, at least first and foremost. I mean, so yeah, I just like no TD. I mean, there's plenty of opportunities where Hurts can throw the ball to one of those weapons. Also, Hurts doing a tush push or Hurts running it in, etc. I think that it wouldn't be a shock to me if he doesn't score, But also, like you said, Rich, it's just fun to go against the grain. Be the guy standing alone in the corner. And then you're right at the end of the day. All these droolers. I mean, I saw one tweet this week. It was like, why don't we just put all of our tax dollars on Jalen Hurts minus 120 and we'll get out of the deficit? And I was like, okay, now I gotta find the opposite side. If that's the mentality of people out there, we got to go in, right?
So I've got one absolute punt, and then floor's open if you guys have any more. And this is actually moved, Mo. When I said it on the Badlands show, it was 110 to 1. It's now 140 to 1. My guy Grant Calcaterra, first touchdown. This is on FanDuel. This dude is playing 40% of the snaps. I mentioned his name earlier. He's basically a pure blocking tight end. If he catches a ball in a game, it's an absolute miracle. Okay, but you're telling me if this guy's going to be on the field 40% of the time, and it's the absolute kitchen sink game, gotta have it. You're telling me this 1 out of 140 times they're not going to run the tight end release with this guy in the red zone and he's going to score a touchdown? So obviously love that. And then if you're going to take an absolute punt on one of these, I always take a share of my stake. So if you're going to do 1 unit on this, I always take a quarter unit and put it on first touchdown, 2 touchdowns, because that's the absolute spin up. That market is only available on DraftKings. They are not listing 2 touchdowns for Grant Calcaterra on FanDuel. That market is only on DraftKings. That's 550 to 1 if Grant Calcaterra scores 2 touchdowns. So I doubt you're even getting 550 to 1 on Calcaterra to win MVP, which this is the only scenario with which he can win MVP is him scoring multiple 2-yard touchdowns. So this is a super duper absolute punt. Have your fun. Something Calcaterra. If this guy scores first, I want my Twitter mentions to be on fire because people have cashed big tickets. Anything else? Oh, DP, you got one more.
Yeah, Hunt anytime TD. I mean, to me, he's there in a lot of ways. There, tush push guy, if I want to call him that. Like they don't do the tush push thing with Mahomes. Like it's like they're petrified since he got hurt, which I still don't understand that. I just don't. It was like one freak injury, and you're gonna deny the fact that
never again,
like never again. I mean, it's so weird to me, especially now. You want to deny him from doing that in week 8 against the freaking Bengals. I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want. But when it's win or go home every single week, I mean, who cares? Like, I mean, risk it. What? Like, it was such a freak injury. I feel like they're like, oh yeah, if once he does it, he's just gonna, his kneecap is just gonna fly to the side. Like, no, that's not how this works. Okay, it's not how it works. So, yeah, I mean, they use Hunt all the time in short yardage. He produces very, very well. So, why not? If they get close to the end zone, I think they're just going to hand it off to him. I think he's preferred more so than Pacheco in a lot of these situations. You get plus 150 on this. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, post-injury, Pacheco has not been able to crack that 30% rush share. Well,
yeah, Donnie made a very, I think, sharp pick here. When I wrote up the Chiefs touchdowns for the lines, I thought Kareem Hunt was the best value on the board at plus 140 or so. I just think, like Donnie said, he's the clear preferred short yardage option. So, the Eagles like to play light boxes. I think that changes maybe in the red zone, but he'll get at least a few cracks, I'm pretty sure. So, plus 140, I just think is a bit too high. I want to follow up on your backup tight ends play and go for some Noah Gray over here. I think there's still an 11.5. It's starting to go up. I think most places have gone up to 12.5. Last time I looked, which was yesterday, DK still had 11.5 minus 113. He's still playing more than 40%, right around 50% of the snaps. We know that the Eagles are going to leave short and middle open generally, and that is the only place Noah Gray runs routes. So I think he gets at least a couple catches. I think we're getting a buy low price here because he's basically done nothing in the playoffs. He had 3 targets across the first 2 games. They were all against Houston. One thing I noticed as well when I was looking up formation tendencies, the Eagles are actually quite a bit weaker facing 12 personnel than 11, where they are elite this year. Presumably, the Chiefs staff is well aware of this and will attack with a heavy dose of 12. So I don't mind also being a little bit aggressive here with Noah Gray and going for, you can get plus 550 to score. That was my other tout on the touchdown markets. I think that's okay as well.
Our guy Steven Andrus in the Discord has 180 to 1 ticket on
most receptions,
Noah Gray
was it?
leading the game in receptions. So fingers crossed,
bananas.
Mahomes peppers him.
I have this one too, by the way. I have Noah Gray over
Donnie
11.5.
Too,
I mean, part of this is if they key in on Kelsey, I mean, Mahomes trusts Gray. He's trusted him before in big spots, so why not, right? Why not?
Go back to the Carolina game. Go back to the Carolina game. Absolute desperation mode, trailing against a bad team on the road. Noah Gray was the guy, right? Like, this is a thing that happened.
He scored more touchdowns than Travis Kelce this year.
I mean, Noah Gray's, and he's not someone who, it's not like this is a new person for this team, to come alongside Travis. I mean, he's been there for a while. He has that rapport with Mahomes. Like, it's the whole thing. Like, if he needs it, and you need it in the Super Bowl, then he's going to go to his guy.
I've never seen Noah Gray break a tackle, I don't think. And I've also don't think I've ever seen him drop a ball. So what I can tell you is that if he catches it, it's going to be for around 7 yards, and he will be quickly tackled, and we will be on to the next play. So we probably need 2 catches here.
All right. Anything else? The other one I'm interested in is Pirine, over 7.5 receiving yards. This has moved. I first saw it at minus 103. It's now minus 115. You're basically betting on Samaje Perine catching a pass, right? His average is above 10 in terms of yards per reception. He's very much a schemed player. He only gets about 10% of the snaps at running back, so he's not going to see the field a ton. But
he pretty much only plays on 3rd and long. Like, that's pretty much when he plays.
Yeah. And you talk about Noah Gray not being involved. Samaje Perine didn't have a catch until 1 minute left in the game last week in the entire playoffs. So he went 119 minutes without catching a ball in the playoffs. But to seal the game, to win the AFC, they went to Samaje Perine and he had a 17-yard play. So you're essentially betting on Pirine having a catch, but the reception markets are all lined at are all lined at 1.5, and the over is like insane. And I think just betting the yards is the best way to go. So, anything else before we get out of here on Super Bowl?
Another fun one.
LIX. Go.
Chiefs under 4.5 rushers plus 105 on DK. I'm praying this is still there. It has not moved all week when I looked at it, so it's finally time for me to go get some money down on this. This number is minus at some other places. Number one, it's not even 100% certain Xavier Worthy gets a rush. So, I mean, it's likely, but it's not certain. So, Worthy, Mahomes, and 2 running backs gets the Chiefs to 4, and I have no idea who the market is expecting to be the 5th ball carrier here because
isn't it Worthy or Kelsey? Like, it's not both.
That's what I was
like.
wondering.
Why would it ever be both?
I don't remember the last time a tight end took a snap for the Chiefs. It's been some time. Only 2 other players on the team besides those 4 that have more than 5 carries, which is Mecole Hardman, by the way. So that's not even a bar that matters because he's not on the team for this game, is Pirine and Carson Steele. Carson Steele has been relegated to special teams, and Pirine very rarely carries the ball. He hasn't carried the ball since the Steelers game, which I think that was Christmas. So, yeah. Well, he had against Denver, but I'm not even counting that as a real game. But, yeah, he had 2 carries against the Steelers and did not sniff a carry in the last 2 games. Like Rich was saying, he only plays 3rd and long, and the Chiefs are not probably going to be punting any 3rd and longs in a game that is called the Super Bowl. So I would expect him to have 0 carries in this game.
I think your only fear is the Kelsey tush push, but
the tight end
do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Do you want to do that against Jalen Carter? And the Chiefs have so much success on that sprint out in short yardage, where it's basically like a speed option where Mahomes can throw it to the back or throw it to the tight end on a hook. And Mahomes always makes the right decision because he's Patrick Mahomes. And instead of putting all your eggs in the can we block Jalen Carter basket, you're putting your eggs in can Mahomes make the right play, which is normally a very good bet in those spots. I mean, they even ran that same sprint out play with who was the backup quarterback?
Chad Henne.
Yeah, Chad Henne. They ran the sprint out play, and didn't he just bust it up and run for like a bunch of yards?
And then he hit Tyreek Hill as well on the same play for another conversion, I think.
Yeah, they have that deep. They have a deep over on the back if you're really gambling. But yeah, it's just a play that just works. So yeah, I think your only fear is the tight end tush push, which I think will fade, perhaps. Super Bowl LIX. Again, I think it's going to be boring. Sorry, guys. I think we're in for like Chiefs 20. No, because I don't think they're going to be field goals. It's going to be like Chiefs 21, Eagles 14. Get your alt unders in. Get your unders in. Get your under ladders in. This isn't Bills Chiefs. And remember we were telling people to bet over 90 in that game? We were like, whatever the highest number. And I mean, we were right. These teams were scoring multiple touchdowns in 13 seconds. But yeah, I think your unders are coming in. I think your alt unders are coming in. And I think we see Mahomes and Reed do it again. All right, Mo, good luck. Hope you have a stress-free Sunday.
I'm going to be on the edge of my seat no matter what happens. So,
Donnie, I know Donnie's excited. He gets to hear.
I put too much on the line with my Mahomes legacy shit talk. So, I'm emotionally invested in this.
I know Donnie will be on the edge of a seat because TB12 is talking throughout the entire game, unfortunately. Your guy, DP. Can we talk about Tom having an MVP vote when he's an owner of a team?
Thank you. What is going on here? Why is this okay?
Yeah. Seems like in the categories of conflict of interest, this is like S tier conflict.
Well, I think didn't they say he was also like allowed in the meetings this week? I thought the owner of the Chiefs I saw said that.
Yeah, I don't really understand that one. Like, I mean, these league office people talk all the time with each other. Like, there's just tampering 24/7 in professional sports leagues. Like, just deal with it. That doesn't rub me the wrong way either. I think having MVP.
I personally don't get it from Brady's perspective. I mean, you clearly have enough money that you can get a piece of an NFL team. You look like the freaking Dawn walking around out there every time you walk onto the field in clothes and sunglasses and everything that's worth more than I'll ever be worth in my life. So, like, why do you have to hop into the commentary booth and subject yourself to that sort of criticism? Like, I don't understand why you even bother to do this. Go own the team, like, and try and like run the team, or like do more things that way, and have your quote unquote voice heard in that regard. And maybe, you know, one day you like get a bigger share and you ultimately own the whole team. I don't know, but like, it just seems weird that even he wants to do it.
Maybe he's getting as much money as possible for that FTX lawsuit that's coming. Scumbag.
He's got enough money. Okay.
I was going to say, I think part of it could be, you know how these people are. They're all lunatics. Tom Brady especially. You know he's a lunatic. He knows he sucks at this. Well, he used to suck. I think he's fine now. He was really bad at the start of the season. I think he's gotten a lot better. And yeah, I think, you know, competitive fire in these people. It doesn't matter what the arena is. If it's literally a job and he knows people were saying how bad he was, he probably wants to prove to people he can do this.
Sure, I don't doubt that. I mean, I'm personally flabbergasted. Like, I don't know anyone. Do people actually tune in because Brady is commentating? Like, I don't understand. You don't ever hear that. Like, even from the most casual of casuals, you don't hear them be like, "Oh, I gotta watch because Brady's on comms." Like, so then what? You're gonna pay him $300 million? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, that's the sneaky thing about the Manning deal too, is that ESPN is paying Omaha Productions an ungodly amount of money, but they're really paying them for all the content that they produce. Because if you look at the ratings for the Manning cast, they're like a tenth of what the game does on big ESPN and ABC. For your point, like, the Mannings are extremely entertaining, extremely likable, but it just doesn't move the needle whatsoever.
Yeah, but at least with that one, it's like it's a totally different
something
product.
Different. Yeah, for
like,
sure.
You tune in and you're like, yeah, I watch the Manning cast because I just think it's more fun, it's more casual, like whatever. It's great for me. But like, I don't think anyone's tuning in and just being like, yeah, Brady, let's go. That's what I'm gonna watch.
Yeah, if it's Jags Titans, I'll watch the Manning cast. But if it's a game I care about, I want Buck and Aikman on the call. I just think it lends a little bit more gravitas. I will say, Greg Olson, he's watching this one on Univision, right? He's brushing up on his Duolingo and watching this one on Spanish, right? He has no interest in listening to Tom Brady call the Super Bowl. All right. Good luck, Mo. Good luck with your bets, Brett. Donnie. Good luck, Brett, too. Good luck with your bets. Everybody out there. We're traditionally horrific at recapping the Super Bowl. I'm stamping right now. We will do something next week. There will be some recap, win or lose. Mo might not be with us, but there will be some kind of content. And then after that, we always come back for a draft episode. And then after that, when Vegas win totals come out. So that is your off-season schedule. But enjoy the game, enjoy the football, enjoy the halftime, enjoy the food. Be safe. Peace.